10 psychological signs someone is secretly wealthy. Ever notice how the richest people you know never seem to try that hard to look rich? Here's what's crazy. That guy with the Rolex, the leased BMW, posting his success every day on Instagram? Yeah, he's probably 3 months from bankruptcy. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire is wearing a $50 Timex, driving a 10-year-old Toyota, and nobody even knows they've got $2 million sitting in index funds. The loudest wealth is usually the poorest. Real wealth? It's psychological. It's invisible. It hides in plain sight. Today, I'm revealing 10 psychological signs that separate the secretly wealthy from the pretenders. And here's what makes this critical. Miss just one of these signs and you might walk right past a multimillionaire thinking they're broke. Or worse, you might be modeling your life after someone who's faking it. If you're ready to spot real money and stop chasing fake success, comment quiet wealth right now and let's dive in. Because the first sign, it's gonna blow your mind. Sign number 1, they ask questions more than they talk. Here's something that'll blow your mind. You know that guy at the party who's talking nonstop about his new Tesla, his crypto wins, his 7-figure business? Yeah, he's probably 3 payments behind on that Tesla. The truly wealthy person? They're in the corner asking the caterer about their supply chain costs. I'm serious. Real wealth doesn't announce itself, it investigates. There's this ancient Jewish teaching from the Talmud that says, who is wise? One who learns from every person. And let me tell you, I've sat in rooms with actual billionaires. And you know what they do? They ask the Uber driver about gas prices. They ask the waiter about restaurant margins. They ask you about your life like you're the most fascinating person they've ever met. Meanwhile, the guy leasing a BMW is interrupting everyone to talk about his passive income. Here's what's really happening. Wealthy people understand something broke people don't. Every conversation is a data mining operation. They're not being fake or manipulative. They genuinely want to know how things work, because information is currency. While pretenders are busy performing wealth, real millionaires are quietly collecting insights that'll make them their next million. Think about King Solomon for a second, the richest, wisest king in history. You know what he did when he needed to make a judgment call? He listened to 2 women argue over a baby. He didn't immediately flex his wisdom. He asked questions, observed, and gathered information. That's the pattern of real wealth, curiosity over ego. So here's what you need to do starting today. In your next 5 conversations, ask 3 questions before you make one statement about yourself. Watch what happens. You'll learn things. You'll make people feel valued. And here's the kicker. People will walk away thinking you're impressive because you made them feel heard. That's the paradox. The less you talk about yourself, the more respect you command. But here's the deeper truth. And this is where most people miss it entirely. Wealthy people ask questions because they've already figured out that their own knowledge has limits. Poor people talk because they think they need to prove something. Rich people listen because they know there's always something valuable to learn, even from people society tells them aren't worth their time. And that leads me to something even more powerful, something that separates the millionaires from the wannabes. Sign number 2, they're comfortable with silence. Have you ever noticed how broke people can't shut up? I mean that literally. Put them in a room, any silence longer than 3 seconds, and they're filling it with noise. Random observations, nervous laughter, stories nobody asked for. It's like they're allergic to quiet. Now put a truly wealthy person in that same silence and watch what happens. Nothing. They just sit there, calm, present, not fidgeting, not performing. Just existing in the moment, like silence is their home address. Here's why this matters more than you think. Benjamin Franklin said, "Silence is golden." But he wasn't just being poetic. He understood that powerful people don't need to fill space with words to prove they belong there. Insecure people do. And look, I get it. We've all been conditioned to think that silence is awkward, that we need to keep conversation flowing or people will think we're boring. But that's poor person thinking. The ancient Stoics practiced something called comfortable silence. Marcus Aurelius would sit in his chambers for hours, just thinking, not speaking. Not because he had nothing to say. He was the freaking Roman emperor. He could have commanded attention anytime. But he knew something. Words lose power when you use too many of them. Here's what wealthy people understand that breaks most people's brains. Silence is a filter. It filters out the needy, the insecure, the people who need constant validation. When you're comfortable not talking, you're essentially saying, I don't need your approval to feel valuable. And ironically, that makes people value you more. It's like relationship physics. The less you chase validation, the more it chases you. Try this tomorrow. In your next conversation, when someone finishes talking, count to 5 before you respond. Just 5 seconds. Don't fill it. Don't rush. Let the silence breathe. You'll notice 2 things. First, you'll actually absorb what they said instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. Second, when you do speak, people will lean in, because silence makes your words matter. There's this beautiful little story I heard once. A young man asked a wealthy mentor, "How do I become successful?" The mentor said nothing for a full minute. The young man got uncomfortable, started to repeat the question. The mentor held up his hand, still silent. Finally, he said, "You just learned the first lesson. Success doesn't need to announce itself." The quietly wealthy don't need to fill every gap because they're not afraid of being forgotten in the pause. They know their presence has weight. Their bank account gives them permission to just be. But wait, here's where it gets even deeper, and this is what most people completely miss about how rich people actually think. Sign number 3, they value time over money. Okay, here's where it gets uncomfortable for most people. You ready? Poor people spend money to save time. Wait, no, I got that backwards. Poor people spend time to save money. Wealthy people, they throw money at times like it's on fire. And honestly, it is. Let me paint you a picture. You've got someone making $30 an hour who will drive across town to save $5 on groceries, spend an entire Saturday mowing their own lawn to avoid paying $40, or waste 3 hours on hold with customer service to dispute a $15 charge. Meanwhile, the multimillionaire pays someone to mow their lawn, grocery shop, and handle that phone call. Because they're doing something that'll make them $5,000 in those same 3 hours. Here's the thing that'll make this click. There's this parable in the Bible called the parable of the talents. A master gives 3 servants different amounts of money. 2 invest it and double their return. 1 buries it in the ground to keep it safe. And when the master comes back, he's furious at the guy who played it safe. You know why? Because that servant wasted the most valuable resource, opportunity. That's what time is. It's an opportunity. And wealthy people treat it like it's the only non-renewable resource in existence. Because it is. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. Your kids will only be 5 years old once. Your parents won't be around forever. That business opportunity? It has an expiration date. So here's your homework, and I need you to actually do this. Calculate your hourly worth. If you make $50,000 a year and work 2,000 hours, that's $25 an hour. Now look at everything you do in a week. Are you spending 3 hours cleaning your house? That's $75. Could you hire someone for $75 to do it while you spend those 3 hours on a side hustle, learning a skill, or just being present with your family? That's the math wealthy people run constantly. Jim Rohn used to say something that changed my life. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. And here's the brutal truth. Every hour you waste trying to save $20 is an hour you're telling the universe your time is worth $20. The universe believes you. Your bank account believes you. Wealthy people buy back their lives. Poor people sell their lives by the hour. And speaking of how wealthy people invest their time, there's something they're absolutely obsessed with that most people completely overlook, and it has nothing to do with fancy degrees or certificates on a wall. Sign number 4, they're obsessed with learning, not credentials. You want to know something hilarious? I've met people with 3 master's degrees who are broke, and I've met high school dropouts with 8-figure net worths. What's the difference? The broke people collected credentials. The wealthy people collected knowledge. There's this massive misconception in our society that education equals a degree. But here's what Marcus Aurelius figured out 2,000 years ago while running the Roman Empire. Learning stops the moment you think you've arrived. He was literally the most powerful man on earth, and you know what he did every night? He wrote in his journal, studying philosophy, questioning his own decisions, and learning from everyone around him. He didn't need another degree to feel valid. He needed to get better. Here's what secretly wealthy people do that blows my mind. They're the ones buying $2,000 courses on marketing. They're flying across the country for a 2-day mastermind. They're reading a book a week, not to flex on Instagram, but because they're hunting for that one idea that'll change everything. Meanwhile, someone's arguing on Facebook about how college is a scam while contributing exactly $0 to their own education. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Your degree got you in the door. Your continuous learning keeps you in the room. I know people who graduated from Harvard who haven't read a book since, and I know people who didn't finish community college who invest $10,000 a year in their own education. Guess which one's building wealth? Here's your action step, and this one's non-negotiable if you actually want to build wealth. Read for 30 minutes every single day in your field. Not fiction, not news, not celebrity gossip, stuff that makes you better. If you're in sales, read sales psychology. If you're in real estate, study market trends. If you're building a business, learn from people who've already done it. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the wealthiest people in America. And you know what he found? They weren't the most educated. They were the most curious. They understood that formal education makes you a living, but self-education makes you a fortune. Here's the difference. Status seekers collect diplomas to prove they're smart. Wealth builders collect knowledge to become unstoppable. One's a trophy, the other's a weapon. But here's where it really gets interesting, because there's a specific skill wealthy people have mastered that seems simple on the surface. But it's actually the hardest thing most people will ever attempt. Sign number 5, they delay gratification like it's a superpower. Alright, real talk. Most people see a shiny new thing and their brain goes, I need that right now or I'll die. Wealthy people see the same shiny thing and think, cool, I'll revisit this in 30 days. And that difference, that's about $7 million over a lifetime. I'm not even exaggerating. You want to know the single biggest separator between broke and wealthy? It's not intelligence. It's not connections. It's the ability to see a $3,000 watch and think, or I could invest this and have $30,000 in 10 years. Most people can't delay pleasure for 10 minutes, let alone 10 years. There's this beautiful Jewish tradition I love. They plant trees knowing they'll never sit in the shade. Think about that for a second. You're planting something today that your grandchildren will benefit from. That's the mindset. That's the game. But we live in a world of same-day delivery, instant gratification, and buy now, pay later. We've been trained to be financial toddlers. Here's what's really happening in a wealthy person's brain. They've rewired the reward system. When broke people buy something, they get a dopamine hit. When wealthy people don't buy something and invest instead, they get the dopamine hit. They've literally gamified patience. It's insane. They're excited about compound interest the way normal people are excited about a new iPhone. Let me give you something practical you can use today. It's called the 30-day rule. See something you want? Write it down. Wait 30 days. If you still want it and can afford it without touching investments or emergency funds, buy it. You know what happens? About 70% of the time, you won't even remember why you wanted it. That's not discipline. That's clarity. You're filtering impulse from actual desire. Warren Buffett drives a car he's had for years, lives in a house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. The man is worth over $100 billion. He could buy a new Lamborghini every morning and use it as a paperweight. But here's what he understands that breaks people's brains. Every dollar he doesn't spend is a soldier in his wealth army, out there working 24/7, making him richer while he sleeps. The compound interest of patience isn't just about money, it's about life. The person who can wait, who can endure discomfort now for abundance later, that person is unstoppable. Because while everyone else is buying comfort, they're buying freedom. Now here's something that's going to sound counterintuitive, but once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it has everything to do with who wealthy people choose to spend their time with. Sign number 6, they're selectively social. Okay, this one's gonna hurt some feelings, but we're going deep now, so buckle up. You know that person who's at every networking event, every happy hour, every entrepreneur meetup, collecting business cards like Pokemon? Yeah, they're usually broke. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire declined your party invite because they were having dinner with the same 3 people they've known for 20 years. Here's the thing people get wrong. Wealthy people aren't antisocial. They're not sitting in a cave counting money like Scrooge McDuck. They're incredibly social, just selectively social. There's a massive difference. It's about quantity. The other's about quality. And quality costs you something most people aren't willing to pay. It costs you saying no. There's this ancient wisdom from Babylon. Your network is your net worth. But here's what they left out. It's not the size of your network. It's the quality. You could have 5,000 LinkedIn connections and still be broke. Or you could have 5 deep relationships with the right people and become a multi-millionaire. I've seen both happen. Let me tell you what wealthy people know that broke people don't. Energy is finite. Every hour you spend with someone who drains you, complains constantly, or has no ambition is an hour you're not spending with someone who challenges you, inspires you, or opens doors. It doesn't mean, it's math. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if your 5 closest friends are broke and bitter, congratulations. That's your future unless you make different choices. Here's your uncomfortable homework. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now write down their income levels, their habits, their mindsets. Be honest. Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Are they dreamers or complainers? Because here's the brutal truth. Tony Robbins calls this the proximity principle. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your associations. Wealthy people guard their circle like it's Fort Knox. They're warm, they're kind, but they're ruthless about who gets access to their time and energy. They know one toxic friendship can cost them years of progress. One negative voice can kill a dream before it starts. So they're at fewer parties, but have deeper conversations. Fewer contacts, but stronger connections. They'd rather have coffee once a month with someone who's going somewhere than drink every week with people going nowhere. Are you protecting your energy by being selective? Think about it, because the next sign we're about to talk about might be the most counterintuitive one yet, and it challenges everything society taught us about success. Sign number 7, they have enough consciousness. Here's something that'll mess with your head. Poor people chase more. Wealthy people define enough. And that difference is the entire game. Let me explain. You know that person always talking about when I make 6 figures, or when I hit 1 million, or when I get that promotion? They hit those goals and immediately move the goalpost. 6 figures becomes I need 7 figures. The million becomes I need 10 million. It's like they're on a treadmill that speeds up every time they think they're winning. They're exhausted, miserable, and still broke inside, even when their bank account says otherwise. Now watch what truly wealthy people do. They sit down, usually early in their wealth-building journey, and they ask themselves a question that sounds simple but is actually profound. What's my enough number? Not their stretch goal. Not their fantasy number. Their enough number. The number where they can breathe. Where can they sleep at night? Where they stop performing and start living. There's this Buddhist parable that absolutely destroys the hustle harder mentality. A businessman goes to a fishing village and sees a fisherman lounging on the beach. He asks, "Why aren't you out fishing? You could catch more fish, sell them, buy more boats, hire employees, build an empire." The fisherman says, "Then what?" The businessman says, "Then you could retire and relax on the beach." The fisherman looks around and says, "What do you think I'm doing now?" That story punches me in the gut every time, because here's what it reveals. Most people are sacrificing their present to earn a future that looks exactly like what they already have access to if they just stopped running. Here's your action step, and I want you to do this today. Write down your enough number, not your dream number, not your wouldn't it be nice number, your actual number. What do you need monthly to cover your basics, have some fun, feel secure, and sleep peacefully? For some people, it's $5,000 a month. For others, it's $20,000. There's no right answer, but you need to know your number. Because here's what happens when you don't define enough. You're forever chasing more, and more has no finish line. You hit 1,000,000 and feel the same anxiety you felt at 0 because the target keeps moving. But when do you know you're enough? Everything above that is freedom, not necessity. That's when wealth actually feels like wealth. The richest people I know aren't the ones with the most money. They're the ones who know their number and stop chasing ghosts. But here's where most people completely sabotage themselves. Even when they can know their number, they're focused on the wrong thing entirely. And this next insight is what separates people who hit their goals from people who build empires. Sign number 8, they think in systems, not goals. All right, this is the one that changed everything for me, so pay attention. Goals are cute. Systems are what actually make you wealthy. And most people have this completely backwards. Here's what I mean. Someone sets a goal. I want to lose 30 pounds. Cool. They hit the gym hard for 3 weeks, lose 10 pounds, life gets busy, they quit and gain it back. Goal failed. Another person builds a system. I work out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. No exceptions. They don't focus on the 30 pounds. They focus on the system. A year later, they're down 40 pounds and it feels effortless because they're not relying on motivation. They built a machine. Wealthy people don't wake up every day thinking, "I want to be a millionaire." That's exhausting. They wake up and run their systems, automatic investment transfers, morning routine, lead generation process, review meetings every Friday. These aren't goals. They're systems. And systems don't care about your feelings. They just run. Here's a thought that should scare you a little bit. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear nailed this. If you have incredible goals but terrible systems, you'll fail. If you have average goals but incredible systems, you'll accidentally blow past your goals and wonder how it happened. Let me give you something concrete. Most people set a financial goal like save $10,000 this year. Then they try to remember to transfer money. They forget. They spend it. They fail. A wealthy-minded person sets up a system. Every Friday when I get paid, $200 automatically transfers from checking to savings before I even see it. That's not a goal. That's a system. And by the end of the year, they've saved $10,400 without thinking about it once. Here's your assignment. Take one financial goal you have right now and turn it into a system. Don't just say, "I want to make more money." Create a system. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, I spend 1 hour on my side hustle, no matter what. Don't say, "I want to invest more." Set up automated investing. $300 goes into index funds on the 1st of every month, automatically. Success isn't about what you want. It's about what you do repeatedly without thinking. That's a system. That's the difference. Goals get you excited. Systems make you wealthy. Wait. The most important part is in the following story, because the next 2 signs reveal something about wealthy people's psychology that honestly shocked me when I first noticed it. Sign number 9, they're unreasonably optimistic. Here's something wild. Show a broke person a problem and they see a dead end. Show a wealthy person the same problem and they see a payday. It's the same problem. Different wiring. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity or that good vibes only nonsense where people pretend problems don't exist. Wealthy people see problems very clearly. They're just wired to ask a different question. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? Wealthy people ask, how can I profit from this? Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. In the Bible, there's this guy named Joseph. He's thrown in prison, forgotten, life's a disaster. Then Pharaoh has a nightmare nobody can interpret. Joseph gets pulled out of prison and interprets the dream. 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people would hear that and panic. 7 years of famine? We're all gonna die. But Joseph? He sees opportunity. He tells Pharaoh, store grain during the good years, sell it during the bad years. Pharaoh makes Joseph second in command. Egypt becomes the richest nation. Joseph becomes wealthy beyond measure. Same crisis, different mindset. That's what wealthy people do. 2008 financial crisis? Poor people lost everything. Wealthy people bought real estate at 30 cents on the dollar. COVID pandemic? Small businesses closed. Wealthy people launched online businesses and made millions. Recession coming? Broke people hoard cash under mattresses. Wealthy people position themselves to buy assets on sale. Here's your practical application, and this will literally rewire your brain if you do it consistently. Every time you encounter a problem, and I mean every time, force yourself to write down 3 potential opportunities hidden inside it. Lost your job? Opportunity 1. Start that side business you've been putting off. Opportunity 2. Pivot to a higher paying industry. Opportunity 3. Move to a lower cost of living area and work remotely. Train your brain to hunt for gold in the dirt. Brian Tracy talks about this thing called positive mental attitude. But here's what people miss. It's not about being delusional. It's about being strategically optimistic. Wealthy people prepare for the worst while expecting the best. They have emergency funds, insurance, and backup plans. But they don't live in the worst-case scenario. They live in possibility. Here's the truth. Obstacles are either walls or doors. Poor people see walls. Wealthy people see doors with really heavy locks, and they go find the key. Now I'm about to tell you something that many people regret for the rest of their lives, just because they didn't realize it in time. This last sign, it's the most liberating and the most misunderstood thing about truly wealthy people.
Sign number 10. They're comfortable being misunderstood. Okay, this is the big one. The one that costs people millions. The one most people will never master because their ego won't let them. Wealthy people do not care if you understand their choices. They don't explain, they don't defend, they don't perform. And this drives broke people absolutely insane. Let me paint you a picture. Sam Walton built Walmart into a multi-billion-dollar empire. You know what he drove? An old pickup truck, wore the same cheap watch his whole life. People thought he was broke. Some people thought he was cheap. Some people thought he was weird. And Sam, he did not lose 1 second of sleep over it. He had billions in the bank and nothing to prove to anyone. Here's what's happening psychologically. Poor people need external validation to feel successful. They need the likes, the comments, the "wow, nice car" from strangers. They need people to know they're doing well. So they spend money they don't have to impress people they don't like. Wealthy people? They get their validation from their bank account, not your opinion. And here's the brutal question that should stop you in your tracks. Would you trade $500,000 for everyone's approval? Because that's essentially what people-pleasing costs you over a lifetime. Every time you buy something to impress others instead of invest, every time you take a job for status instead of growth, every time you defend your financial choices to people who don't pay your bills, that's money walking out the door. Here's what you need to do starting today, and this might be the most uncomfortable action step yet. Stop explaining your financial decisions to people. Just stop. When someone asks why you're not buying a new car, you don't owe them a breakdown of your investment strategy. When family asks why you're not going on that expensive vacation, "It's not in the budget right now," is a complete sentence. When friends pressure you to go out every weekend, "I'm focusing on other priorities," is all they need. Wealthy people let results speak. They don't announce their moves. They don't justify their choices. They just quietly execute their plan while everyone else is busy achieving success on social media. Here's the freedom that comes with this. When you stop needing people to understand you, you stop making financial decisions based on their expectations. You buy the used car and invest the difference. You skip the wedding you can't afford. You say no to brunch and yes to your future. And people might think you're weird. Let them. You'll be the weird one retiring at 50 while they're working at 70. The loudest person in the room is rarely the richest. Be the quiet millionaire everyone underestimates. Your future self will send you a thank you note, probably from a beach somewhere. Which sign hit different for you? Drop the number in the comments right now. I want to know what landed.
So there you have it, 10 psychological signs that real wealth is invisible. It's not in the car they drive or the watch they wear, it's in how they think, how they move, how they value their time and energy. Here's what I need you to do. Pick one of these 10 signs and commit to it for the next 30 days. Just one. Watch what shifts, and if this video opened your eyes, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. I've got a video dropping soon on the 7 things secretly wealthy people never waste money on, and it's going to save you thousands. Drop quiet wealth in the comments if you're done performing and ready to build real financial freedom. Remember this, the loudest person in the room is rarely the richest. Be the quiet millionaire everyone underestimates. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. See you at the next one.